Hello and welcome to the first live stream by XDI Academy. My name is Johan and I will be your host in this series. Okay, so I decided to create a live stream series where we're going to build our X/Vapor API. So we're going to build an API that... So, sorry, that was my phone. So we're going to create an API that acts like Twitter, right? So X. And we're going to use something that is called Vapor. And I decided to create a live series. So that means that we're going to build this from scratch. And you guys are going to see me code live. This means we're going to make mistakes. We're going to find bugs. And I want to show you guys the real development, the real way how something is developed, right? Because a lot of YouTubers, and same for me, we make a lot of mistakes, but we cut them out. So when you're watching our videos, it looks like we are coding like gods, right? Because we don't make mistakes. But that is not the case, okay? So that's why I thought maybe it would be really cool to create a live stream series where we're going to learn how we can build a REST API like Twitter and X. And after this series, I also want to create an iOS series where we're going to build an iOS app for X, so for our API, so that we can interact with it. Okay, so in this series, we're going to use something that's called Vapor. So vapor.code. And Vapor is a Swift framework for the server. So for example, for Ubuntu. And it allows us to build REST APIs on web applications using the open source version of Swift. And that's called Swift Neo. And if you are wondering, XDI Academy, for example, is completely built in Swift. So the front end as well, the back end, the APIs and everything. And it's a really powerful framework, right? It's really easy, it's really cool to use. And I think you're gonna enjoy it. Okay, so if you're ready, let's get Xcode open. So before we're gonna do that, we're gonna close my little friends here. And the first thing we need is Homebrew. So Homebrew, as some of you maybe know, is a package manager for macOS and Linux. And to work with Vapor, we need Homebrew. So what we can do, we can open up a terminal. Let me make this a little bit bigger so that you can read it. Okay, so let's add this command here. And we need to add a password. So I already have Brew installed, but if you haven't, just start to do this. Because without Brew, Brew is the easiest way to use Vapor in this way. So we can close our browser here. Perfect. Okay, so now we can do brew install Vapor. And on my machine, it's already installed, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so now I'm going to do cd developer, because in developer, I store all my projects. So when we do ls, here you can see like Adlucity, Blazery, XDI, XDI Academy, Learn Alert, Infiny, Forge, etc., right? So, and I already have here something that's called X/Vapor. Because I was actually recording this as a series, but I thought it would be cooler to do this in a live stream. So we're gonna do mkdir. With mkdir, we can create a new folder, and we're gonna call this X/Vapor2. Then we're gonna do cd x-vapor-2. I'm gonna do ls. Okay, so now what we can do is Vapor new, and we can call this X. Let's just call this X. Okay, so now it's cloning the template from GitHub, and it asks us, would you like to use Fluent? And yes, we do need Fluent, because Fluent is a database layer between our PSQL database and the API. So which database would you like to use? So in our case, we're going to use Postgres. Let me take one. And the reason why we use Postgres is because it's optimized for building heavy workloads, right? So when you look at MySQL or SQLite, it's a little bit, it can be a bottleneck if you work with a lot of data. And that is something with Postgres. it's designed to have to work with heavy workloads. Okay, so would you like to use leave? So I'm not sure yet if we're going to use it in this series, but we're just going to say yes. Okay, so now we can do cd x ls, and we can say open package.swift. This is going to open Xcode, and this allows us to start building. Okay, so just before we start, once again, this is going to be a multi-stream project. So that means that we're going to have a lot of stuff to build. I hope you guys are excited. I hope also that you guys are a little bit patient. Because this is my first live stream, so please be nice to me, okay? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to explain to you this really quick. So we go to package, that is this file. And in the package, we can import all our dependencies. So at the moment, we're using Vapor, we're using Fluent, we're using Postgres, Leaf, and Swift Neo. So Swift Neo is the open source version of Swift. And after that, we have the products, and they are already imported. But we're going to change the macOS version here to version 15. Because in the future, when we also want to implement something like email confirmation and everything, we need version 15, otherwise it's going to crash. Okay, so when we are looking at a Vapor application, the project hierarchy is a little bit as follows. So public is going to contain all the public files, so like CSS, JavaScript, images, videos, assets. Resources is going to have views, and inside the views we're going to find Leaf templates. So Leaf is a templating language for Vapor. It allows us to build websites using HTML, but it also allows us to implement a Swift syntax inside the HTML. And when we use Swift, the API itself is building the Leaf template, converts it to HTML, and then serves it to the user. So that means that it is server-side rendered, okay? But don't worry about this, because we're not going to learn about this yet. So after that, we have sources, we have app, and inside the app we have controllers, DTOs, migrations, but we're going to delete all of that because we don't need that right now. Goodbye. So then we go to routes, and in routes we're going to delete all of this stuff as well because we don't need it. So routes, the func routes, is the routing engine. So this allows us to connect different kinds of requests. So the requests are done through the routes function, and the function routes also handles them. So the moment when we do an API request to our API, it goes through routes, and routes checks everything and then calls for the oh, hello Hassan, nice for you to join me. How are you doing? Oh, by the way, if you have any questions, I have a chat open, so if you want to ask something, feel free to ask. Okay, so in configure, that's also another one. In here we go, we add all the configurations. So in here we add the middleware, the migrations, we add the middleware, we add our database settings, and we are using environments for this. But in this project, we're going to use strings. But I'm going to show you guys how you can set environment objects as well. And as you can see, this is compiling for iOS 12. So we have to change our target to Mac. And then it starts to, and then it will stop complaining about this. Let me see. Yeah, okay, so don't worry about this for now. So inside app, we're going to create a few folders. So the first one is going to be models. Okay, Hassan, thank you. I will try to do my best. So inside app, we're also going to add migrations. Inside there, we're also going to add something that's called seeds. So just to explain, the models is going to contain all the entities or all the objects from our API. So like the user model, the tweet model, and so on. The migrations is going to contain all the database migrations. So this allows us to prepare the database for its first initial use. And what this means is that the moment we start the API for the first time, it's going to check the migrations and it's going to create all the tables and all the rows inside the database for us to use, right? So after that, we're going to create a folder for DTO. So DTO is data transfer or data transferable object. And this is going to be all the information that we're going to use for example, for creating a user, for deleting a user, or maybe to send information to other APIs. So that is a DTO. So the DTO is a little object that contains data that is transferable, okay? After that, we're also going to create something that's called protocols. So in this series, we're going to do something that is called POP or POP. And POP is protocol-oriented programming. So back in the day when development started for iOS, no, not iOS, macOS, Apple designed something that was called OOP, so object-oriented programming. So this allowed us to create objects and code to the hand of objects. That was a little bit the idea in Objective-C back in the day. So with Swift, Apple introduced something that is called POP, protocol-oriented programming. So we are going to create protocols that can use each other. We're going to add or extend on the functionality to the protocols. And then the models will inherit all the functionality from the protocols as well, okay? I can imagine this sounds a little bit hard, but don't worry about it. You're going to learn eventually. So then we're going to create a new folder in app. So we have seeds, we have protocols, we have models, migrations, DTO. We can also call enum, enums. And for enums, we're going to add all the standard information that we want to use. So for example, let's create a new file, a new empty file. We can call this database schema enum. And here we can say import foundation. And we don't really need foundation, but just in case, import foundation. So in here we can do enum of database schema enum, and this is going to be a string. So this is going to return string values, just like this. Okay, so the database schema enum, so when we are working with Postgres or with databases, we want to use a name for the table. So in this case, for example, case users. And the reason why we use an enum for this is to make this more reusable. And the moment when the models, when we're going to set the schemas for the models, we can just call the database schema enum instead of strings. This is just a better way of doing this. So that is why we do this, okay? So at the moment, I know about users. I know about tweets. I know about retweets. I also know about, let me think really quick. So users, tweets, retweets. Let's also call blacklist. So we want, and we can say blocked. So when you are working with Postgres or a SQL database, it's relational, right? So the idea is that we create for everything, we create a relation. So let's say, for example, you have a user and the user is called Johan, for example, and you want to block me. We can do different things, or we can create a blocked model where the user with the user ID who wants to block somebody blocks the user by user ID, and that is saved as its own model. Or we can create a value inside the user model that is called blocked users, and we add an ID to the array. It's two possibilities. But doing this in a relation is just an easier and a better way when you use relational databases. So for example, when you use Firebase, instead of creating, wait, let me show you this really quick. So instead of creating a relation, you will actually do user model. So this is the user model, right? And you can say blocked users like this. And then you can say ID1, ID2, ID3. This is how you would do it in Firebase. But in here, in relations, you would say block user. And the block user contains user ID and it contains the blocked ID. Okay. And you can also, let me factor this. You can also say, let's say we also have a reason. Okay. So this is a little bit the difference. So every time when you block somebody, you create a new block user, just like this. And this is the relation, and this is how we do it in Firebase. So this is just an example, so you know how it works. Okay. Okay, so let me delete this. Okay, so for now we already have five database schemas. So let's start to create our first model. So in here, we can call user model. Inside user model, we can say new empty file, user model. Okay, so in here we can say import Fluent, and we're also going to import Vapor. So Fluent is for the database relation. So Fluent takes care of all the database related stuff and issues, and Vapor, that is the framework itself that takes care of the requests. So then we can do final class of user model, and this is going to be of model. Let's open this one up. So now we can say static let schema of value string is equal to, and now we can call the database schema enum. So we can say database schema enum dot users dot raw value, just like this. So now this is set, and now we can reuse this. So later when we create a migration, we're going to call the schema of the user model itself. You will see that later in the series. So now we can say add ID. So with add ID, we set the value of the ID. So that is going to be UUID, and this is going to be an optional because it's generated automatically. Now we can do extension of user model. And inside here, we're going to create something that's called a field key. So we can say struct field keys. And the field keys are actually the keys for the database rows, right? So when we have a table of users, one row is ID, one row is name, one row is username, password, etc., etc. So for this, we can use a static var of username, and the username is going to be a field key, and this is going to be a set of username, static var password, field key, and we can say password, static var email, field key is going to be email, and we can also say static var created at. So the created at is more for us so that we know when a user is created. Created at static var. We can also call updated at. So the idea of updated at is that we set a value so that the user can see when he last updated his profile. Updated at. We're also going to say static var bio of field key. And we can say bio. Static var, let's say profile image of field key. Profile image. Static var, last but not least, is going to be the header image. And there's going to be a field key. Header image. Okay, so now we can start to create the model field. So now what we can do is add field, open this one up, the key. So we're going to call field keys dot username var username, going to be a string, and this is not going to be an optional because the user needs to add a field, right? Then we can say add field. Key is going to be field keys dot password var password, and the password is also going to be a string. Add field key field keys dot, next one is email var email, going to be a string, add field, key, field keys dot created at. So instead of field, we can also call timestamp. And in here we can do comma on dot create. Var created at is going to be of date with a question mark. So the timestamps are optional types, okay? So we don't need to add, we have to add like a question mark. But we can also use field instead of timestamp. But timestamp is just created for this, so we can use it. So another one, timestamp key field keys dot updated at on dot update. So this allows us the moment when a user is created, the timestamp is filled in with the create date, sorry. And when the user is updated, it uses the date of update. Okay, so we can say updated at of date. So let's see, what do we have more? We have bio. So we can say now, instead of field, we can say call optional field. Let's open this. And we can say bio of field keys dot bio var bio. And there's going to be a string, and this is going to be an optional. So that means that on initial creation, when we want to create a user, we're only going to have 3 values that are like non-optionals. Okay, so the username, password, and email. And later, when the user wants to add a bio, he can by just playing around with this one, so we can update it. So another one, optional field. And we're going to open this. The key is going to be field keys dot profile image var profile image. So for profile image, we can do 2 different things, or we can say string, or we can call URL. So we could do URL, right? But it's easier to just work with strings. Okay, let's make this an optional. Add optional field. So the reason why it's easier to work with strings than with URL is because if we want to save URL into the database for the model, we still have to convert it to a string. And when we use URL in this case, we can check if it's URL, but then we have to convert it. And I'm thinking about it, you know what? Let's just do URL. Okay? So that we can, because we can convert the string to the URL anyway. And with URL, we are sure that it's a URL. Okay, so field keys dot last one is header image. So with the profile image header image, we also have to like upload files, and that's also something that we're going to learn. Let's also make this URL, and now we can do an initializer. But we also need something that's called a required init. Let's open this one up. We don't need parameters, and we also don't need any values in there. We only have to do this. Okay, so what we can do, we can, let me see really quick. Yeah, I think this is the right way to do this. This is okay. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so when a user is like, when a user is created, right? The user is saved with the username, password, email. The problem is we don't want people to see the password, right? And while the password is saved as a bcrypt hash, so that means that it's unreadable. So let's say, for example, the password is test1234556. Bcrypt will hash this to, let's say, blah, 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 like this, right? And this is then what you return, but still we don't want people to see the password hash. While bcrypt is really slow and it's really hard to decrypt it, it's just bad practice. So what we're going to do, we're going to update the user model under the initializer with another value. And that is going to be final class of public. And this is going to be of model. Then we're going to take this one, right? So we need the same schema as the user. We can just do public, because we're not really going to play around with public. But we're only going to use it as a template to return only the public information of the user, but not the rest. Okay, so we can say add ID. Oh, add ID. Var ID going to be UUID. So let me see. So we're going to need the username. We're going to need the username. And we're also going to take the email. We're going to take updated bio and this one as well. So we're going to make sure that we're not using the password. Now in here, we can call init, auto-generate it. We're also going to add the required init. Required init. So the reason why we need two initializers, this is something that has to do with Swift and also with Vapor. Okay, so let me see. The public model is finished. So when we are returning a user, we're going to return the public user. So we're going to return it without the password. And theoretically, we could also get rid of created at and updated at. But I don't think we need to. Okay, now let's clean this up a little bit. So under the extension, we're going to create another extension of user model. And let me think really quick. I think it was going to be func convert to public. Let's open this one up like this. And we're going to, let me think, return user model dot public, just like this. Now we can say return user model dot public. We're going to call this one, and we can say the username is going to be of user name, email is going to be email, and let's also change this around. So instead of nil in the automatic initializer, let's get rid of the nils. For created that, we can also get rid of it. Okay, so the last one, only UUID, we don't need to get rid of it. Okay, so let's also get rid of this one again. So we're gonna generate it again. The username is gonna be username. Email is gonna be email. Created at is gonna be created at. This is gonna be updated at. Bio, profile, image, and header image. Just to explain this to you, what is happening. So we're calling user model.public. That is this one, right? That is this public class, and we are assigning the original value of the user model to the of the user model to the user model.public. So now we only, when we do a request on the user model, we're only going to get the public information. So the username, the email, created at, updated at, bio, profile image, and header image. Theoretically, we could also return ID, but I don't think the ID is important for us to see or for developers of, for the visitors, but it's only easy for us for the database and everything. Now there's one more thing that we need to do. And now I have to think how we did this. I think it was extension of collection where, let me see, it was like user model. I think it was like this. Then we can open this one up. No, wait a second. Where collection is equal to, let me think really quick. You know what? I'm gonna open up the last X that I built with X Vapor. And let's see really quick how I did this in that model, because I totally forgot. So go to user model. I've got the element value. That is it. You know what? I'm just gonna copy and paste this really quick. I'm gonna get rid of this, and I'm gonna put it in here. So what is happening here? So we're gonna do an extension of collection where the element is user model. Then we're gonna call func convert to public, returns an array of user model.public, and then we do self.map and then convert to public. So what is happening? So the moment when we have a collection, right? So let's say the collection is going to be, this is the collection of user model. When we are querying it, and you're going to see this later, instead of the collection user model, we can do user model dot convert to public, and this converts all the information of the user model automatically to convert to public. So we don't need to do this manually anymore. Now it's going to be automatically. Okay. Okay. So now we have to, let me have a quick drink break, because I've been talking like crazy for the last half hour and I need to drink some water. Okay, done. Okay, let me think. Okay, so I think the user model starts to looking pretty nice. I think this is the right way. So now we're going to look at POP. So inside protocols, we're going to open a new folder and we're going to call this CRUD protocols. We're going to create a new, let's say, a new empty file. And we're going to call this CRUD protocols. So CRUD, or CRUD, when we look at this, is, so when we have CRUD, right? Let me, CRUD is equal to create, read, update, and delete. So what does this mean? So when we are doing REST API operations, we do or a create operation, or a read operation, an update, or a delete operation. Okay? That is what CRUD means. And now we're going to create a protocol that we can reuse on other protocols, so that we can write the functionality as a protocol. And this allows us to reuse it everywhere. So that means when we create a new protocol for users, so user protocols, we can use CRUD protocols as the template. We can add separate functionality to the user protocols. But when we want to create a tweet protocol, we can use the same CRUD protocols template, but add different functionality to it using an extension. Okay, so let's first do import content. No, let's import Vapor, import Fluent, and now we can say protocol, and we're going to do CRUD protocols. Okay, so the coolest thing with the protocol in Swift, we can add something that's called an associated type. So this means we can create associated type, and associated type, so let's say for example it's going to be create user DTO, just like this, right? This means, or instead of create, let's just call create DTO. Okay, so now when we call the CRUD protocols protocol on a value, or on a struct, or maybe a class, we can assign a value to this using type alias. So this later is going to be for users, is going to be create user DTO, but for the tweets, it's going to be called create tweet DTO. Okay? Another one we need, associated type of model. We can also call associated type of ID. And we can also call associated type of update DTO, just like that. Oh, update DTO, just like this. So let's get started with functionality. So the first thing that we need is create. So we can say do static func create object, and under here we can do rec of request. So the request is part of Vapor. So I have to import Vapor framework or file, and in request everything is stored. So if you want to get some parameters, it's going to be stored in request. If you want to check if his user is authenticated, this is in request, and so on and so on. Okay, so let me see really quick what we're gonna do now. Okay, so under here, we're also gonna do DTO, and the DTO is gonna be of create DTO. We're gonna do async throws, and we are going to throw an HTTP status. So this allows us, let me think really quick. So this allows us to create like a .ok or something else. What is this? Why a comma? Oh yeah, of course, comma underscore DTO. So this static function of create object is going to take request and it's going to take DTO as a parameter. So now static func get object, we can say back of request underscore, and we can say ID. So the ID is going to be of ID. And then we're going to do async throws, and we're going to throw model. Okay, so that is the associated type of model is going to be thrown here as well. Then static func get all objects, and then we can just do underscore rec of request async throws, and this is going to throw an array of model. Then we can also do static func update object underscore rec of request, and we're going to call ID of ID, and we're also going to call DTO. It's going to be the update DTO. We're going to do async throws, and we're going to throw a HTTP status. Last but not least, static func, we can say delete object of rec of request. ID is going to be ID again, async throws, and we're going to throw HTTP status. So instead of HTTP status, we can also return like custom errors, right? So if you want to create a struct with an error, we can throw different kinds of errors instead of HTTP status. But I think the HTTP status is just the easiest way to work with this. And pretty cool. I have 5 listeners or watchers today. Pretty cool. Let me write chat really quick. Hello. Just like this. Okay. So now this is finished, right? This looks really nice. So we have to create, we have to get, so the read, we have to update, and we also have delete. So now we can reuse this as a template for our user protocol. So we go new file, we can call user protocols, a new folder, and here we can do a new file of user protocols. We can again do import Vapor, import Fluent, and then we can say protocol of user protocols, and now we can call root protocols. Let's open this one up really quick. Okay, so I already know that we're going to have an error. So what we can do, we can already create the DTO and update DTO. So inside DTO, we're going to do new empty file. We're going to say user DTO, import Vapor, and we can say struct create user DTO of content. So we need content, and content is part of the Vapor framework. And this is like in iOS, like decodable and codable, okay, or encodable. So we can say let username is going to be a string, let email is going to be a string, and let bio is also going to be a string. So this is like the 3 things that they can update, right? Or that they can, oh, wait a second, no. This is create, so we have password, just like this. And now we can say struct, and we can say update user DTO. This is also going to be of content. And this allows us to update the username. It's going to be a string. Let's make this an optional. Let email also going to be a string of optional. Let bio is going to be a string of optional. And yeah, so we're not going to allow them to update the password yet, because we're going to do that later with a separate function. So we can say let struct update password DTO. It's also going to be content. We can select password. It's going to be a string. Let verify. It's also going to be a string. So we're not going to use this one yet. We're going to use this later. But now we have it, and now we are sure that we don't need to worry about it. Oh, and if you have any questions, just ask. I'm happy to help. And I think later, when the live stream stops and the video is going to be online, you can ask questions down in the comments below. I will try to answer them if you have any questions. And if I go too fast, let me know, because this is my first live stream. And maybe I should make the size of the code a little bit bigger so it's easier for you to read. And I think I'm not even streaming on 1080, but on 1200, so it's probably even worse. Okay, so now what we can do, we can call type alias of create DTO is equal to create user DTO. So now it's going to complain because the type alias overriding associated type, we have to do that differently. So when we click on fix, we're going to see where create DTO is equal to create user DTO. So now we can update this. So we can say update DTO is equal to update user DTO. We can also do model is equal to user model dot public. And we can also add last but not least ID is going to be equal to user model dot ID value, just like this. And this is how you can, let me show you this really quick. So I'm going to open up a second editor. So this is how you can reuse the associated types of the CRUD protocols and add the different values to it. So now when we're going to use CRUD protocols on another one, so let's say instead of user protocols on tweet protocols, we can say the create DTO is going to be create tweet DTO, update tweet DTO, and the model is going to be the tweet, right? Okay, so now we're going to do something that is really exciting. So we can create an extension on the user protocols, and we can start to extend functionality to the CRUD protocol itself. So let me check the CRUD protocol really quick. So that is this one, and we can just copy and paste it inside to here. We can open it. Okay, let me close this up again. And now we want to create a user, right? So that's the create DTO. So we can say let new user is equal to user model. Let's open this one up. I'm going to call this one, and this is going to be DTO dot username, DTO dot password, and we're going to do DTO dot email. Hey Shruti Kapoor, oh, you're from Seattle? I'm from the Netherlands. I love Seattle though. I was there 2 years ago. Yeah, I can, of course. I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so now we're back. Okay, so this is the new user, right? And now we can say try await new user.create on rec.db. And we can say return dot okay. So dot okay is a standard HTTP status. This is going to be the 200 status. And the 200 status means the request was a success. It works. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, so I want to create all the functions first, and after that we're going to create some helper functions. And with the helper functions, we can check if user already exists, if user did something else, and so on and so on, okay? But we're going to do that a little bit later. So we can go back to CRUD protocols, and this is, by the way, something that I never understood. Or maybe it's because I'm still working on an Intel Mac. But for some reason, it doesn't autofill like autofill the functions for some reason. So, and for the people who noticed, I like to work with extensions. Extensions keep your files more readable, makes it easier. And yeah, so if you're ever gonna work on like really big projects, like let's say you have like a SwiftUI project, and you have like 600-700 lines of code, try to separate that in different extensions, because it's easy to read, and what's also possible, you can call extension in different files on user protocols, for example, as well. Okay, just a little tip if you're ever going to work as an iOS developer. A lot of lead developers love extensions. Okay, so for the get object, we can do two different things. Oh, hello, Ben. Cool, Boston. I haven't been there yet. I'm gonna be in Boston in July. Pretty cool. Nice to have you on the stream. So, for the get object, we can do different things. We can just do return try await, and we can do user model dot find. We can say ID on rec.db. We could do something like this, but this is not the right way to do it. So let's delete this, and we're gonna say guard let user is equal to try await user model dot find, and we're going to find the ID on rec.db. Else we're going to throw an error, throw abort, and we can say dot not found, and we can call reason, and the reason is going to be user with the ID of ID does not exist. Okay, so this, when we don't add the guard let here, we're gonna have to what is the name again? So we have to do like yeah, we have to use like an exclamation mark, and that will crash the API for sure. Okay, so watch out with that. Always use a guard let. So now, if the guard let user, if the user exists, the only thing we need to do is return user, just like this. And then we have a get object. 1 second. Oh, of course, sorry. So now after this, we can do .user.convert to public. So this is the conversion function that we wrote before to the user model. So this converts the user to the public model, and this makes sure that we don't send the password with the payload, right? So then we're going to create another extension, and the other extension of user protocols. And this is going to be the static func of get all, I think. So let's go to here. That's this one. I'm going to add it in here. Okay. So now the only thing we need to do is return try await user model.query on rec.db, and we can say dot. Oh, let's do this clean dot all, and after that we can do dot convert to public. So this convert to public is the function that we created for the extension on how's it called, on the collection. So when we go back to the user model really quick, I show you this. So that is this function. So the extension collection convert to public. Now when we do this, so we can see user model.query query.all, and after that we can do .convert to public, and that function automatically converts all the values of this to public models. And yes, Ben, I will be saving the stream on my channel afterwards, and all the future streams on this topic as well, because this is probably going to be around, I think, 20 live streams before it will be finished. So yeah, it's a really big project, building a REST API that acts like X. So yeah, I will save it and you can watch it later as well. Okay, so we have to get all object is finished. So we can say extension of user protocols. And now it's going to be the update function. So we go back to CRUD protocols. We're going to copy and paste the update object function. Okay, so now we have this one, right? So guard let user. We can copy and paste this one. We can put it in here. And we can say user dot username is equal to DTO dot username. Else, so if there is no value inside the DTO, the username, we're just going to call user dot username. So this way, if we don't do it like this, and DTO the username is empty, user.username is going to adopt an empty string. The problem is, because it's an empty string, we will get a database error because it's not an optional, it has to have a value, okay? So then we have user.email is equal to dto.email, else user.email, then user., was the last one, I think it was bio, yes, is equal to dto.bio, else we're gonna say user.bio, and after that we can say try wait, user.save on rec.db. Okay, so that's the update function. Oh, and we forgot something. We have to do return dot. Okay, pretty cool. So last but not least, it's going to be the delete function. So there's going to be user protocols, and we're going to call the root protocols. We're going to call the delete function. I'm going to add it inside the protocol. Let's open this, and we also have to copy and paste this one. We can put it in here, and we can say, what was it again? Yeah, so I can say try await user.delete on rec.db, and then we can say return .ok. So the moment when we return .ok, the user is deleted, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. So this is cool. So we took the template of CRUD protocols, we used it on our user protocols, we added or we assigned values to the associated types, or the type aliases, and after that we created functionality to the same functions of the CRUD protocols. But the coolest thing is, we can, from the CRUD protocols, we can reuse these again on other models, like for example tweets. We can also reuse them on, let me think really quick, on like blocked. We really can reuse it on everything, so that is pretty nice. So now there's one problem with our code here, and that is this one. Let me see really quick. So this one, this is a problem, because we have been copying this for the last few times, and that is not the right way to do this. So what we can do, we can create a new folder here. We're going to call this helper protocol. So in the helper protocols, we're going to add a new empty file of helper protocols, and the helper protocols are going to help us with certain helpers. So we can say import Vapor, import Fluent. We can say protocol of helper protocols. We can say static func check if user exists underscore rec. Oh, and it's going to be of request async throws, and we're just going to throw user model just like this. And under here we can create an extension of helper protocols. We can say static func check if user exists rec of request async throws. We're going to throw a user model, and what we can do, we can go to our user thingy. We can just do copy paste this one, we put it in the helper protocol, and we can do return user just like this. Okay, let me see really quick. Okay, so oh yeah, of course we also need a value here. So underscore ID is going to be of user model dot ID value, just like this. And we can copy and paste this one, and we're going to put it inside here. Let's do a comma there, and this should fix it. Okay, so now we have the helper protocol. So now we can go back to user protocols, and above it, before CRUD protocols, we can call helper protocols, comma. And now the coolest thing is, instead of doing try await 3 times, we can just do try await check if user exists on the rec, and the user model.id value is going to be ID. Oh, wait, we can get rid of guard as well. We only have to do let. because, and now we only have to copy and paste this one really quick, and then I'm going to explain to you why. You can just do boom, and just do boom. And yeah, this cleans up everything, right? This looks a lot cleaner, this looks a lot better. And the reason, and what is happening in check if user exists, let's go there really quick. So it also throws an abort error anyway. So when a user does not exist, it throws the abort error and we can handle it. We can do something with it. And that is what this is doing, right? But we can also say, we can also go to the helper protocol, to this one, and we can add an extra function because we also want to check if a user already exists or not. So we can say static func does user exists. We can say rec of request, of request. Then we can call email, it's going to be string. And let me think really quick. So we want the email and the username both, right? So we can call username going to be a string, just like this. Async throws, I'm going to throw a boolean. After that, we can do extension of helper protocols. And you're probably thinking like, Johan, why are you using so many extensions? Extensions make the code more readable, you know? Otherwise, you're going to have like 10,000 different sizes of files. And with extensions, it just makes it more readable for me and also more readable for you when you're later going back to look at this code. So let me see really quick. So we want to check if a user exists, yes or no, right? So we can do this and two different things. You can use group, or we can run two separate queries. So let me see. So maybe what we can do. Wait, let me think really quick. What is the best way to do this? So does user exist? So we want to make sure that the user with the email exists, yes or no, or with the username. So maybe the easiest way is say let users is equal to try await user model dot query on rec.db dot all, like this. And now we can say switch users. Right, let me think really quick. Switch users, let's open this case. And we can say users dot, can we do filter? Wait, dot contains. Okay, so where email, let me check really quick. Email is equal to email. No, you know what, I think this is terrible. Wait, maybe we have to call, let me see, dot backslash email is equal to email. Would this be the right way to do this? Okay, let's see what happens. Nah, I already had a feeling this was not the way to do this. You know what? Okay, I have a better idea. We're just gonna get rid of this one for now. Gonna get rid of this one. So the DOS user exists. We're gonna work on that in a later stream, or maybe later in this stream. Let's first check if we have all the user information ready. And yeah, okay. So wait, let me go back really quick. So I'm thinking about the right way to do the static func does user exists. And hello, Jade Davis from Los Angeles. Oh, I love Los Angeles. I was there like 2 years ago as well with the bicycle. Have you been safe? Were you in the vicinity of the fires? I mean, here in Europe, the news outlets are talking about the fires nonstop. I hope you're safe. If I offer any classes, well, I have a website, exadai.academy, where I offer at the moment really basic courses. I don't have time yet to create like full-blown courses, but I'm working on that. So if there's anything you want to learn, let me know. Let me think really quick. So, you know what? This shouldn't be that hard, right? We only want to check if a user exists. And you know what? Let's do this differently. Does user with email exist? With email exists. Let's do this like this. And we're gonna do boom, 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 just like this. And we can also uncomment this one. And we can get rid of the username here. And we can just do guard let. So we can say guard let users try with user. Instead of .all, we can do .filter / $$ email is equal to email .first else. We can do throw. Oh no, instead of throw, we can do return false. Exactly. But let me see really quick. And after that, we can do return true. Okay, so I think this is the easiest way for now. Check if a user exists, right? So the does user exist is already. Let's change the name of this one really quick, just like this. Okay, so this works. So now we go to the create object here, and we can do like, let's say, let check user is equal to try await check if user check if wait does user with email exist on the rec, and the string is going to be the dto.email. Oh, we can do email, and after that we can say if check user is not equal to true. We're going to do something. We're going to say else. We can comment x this one. We can put it in here. If not equal to true. Oh, wait a second. Let's get rid of this one over here. I'm going to put that one in there. And that should fix this issue. Okay, so if check user, we can do throw abort dot internal server error. We can say reason user with email of backslash string interpolation of dto.email does already exist, just like this. So this will be the easiest way to check if a user the email works. And yeah, so at the moment the email is like the most important thing, right? Later we're also going to add it for the username, but for now this is the easiest way to work with this. Okay, so now we have this ready. Maybe we can start with like the tweets, like the tweet model. So let's go to models. Let's create a new folder. It's going to be tweet model. And inside the tweet model, we're going to do a new empty file. We can say tweet model, import Vapor, import Fluent, and we can say final class of tweet model is going to be of model. And now I'm thinking about it. Let me think really quick. Yeah, okay. So we can say static let schema. So as before, we have to set a schema for our database. So we're going to do database schema enum.tweets.raw value add ID. We have to set the ID, otherwise it's going to complain. UUID. Now we can create an extension again on the tweet model. And we can say struct field keys. And we can say static var and static var of, so we have the tweet. So instead of tweet, maybe it will be easier if we do content, right? It's gonna be a string, static var created at is gonna be, oh, wait a second, there's not, no, not string. This has to be field key. And after that, we're gonna add a string of content. After this one, field key, we're gonna say created at static var user. So we can call user ID, and the user ID is going to be the parent. So in Vapor, there is something that is called a parent relationship. The problem of the user ID. So the thing is with that, for me personally, we can use at parent, but we can also run a separate query, and I'm gonna run a separate query for this. Because it's easy. I find it easy to work with, and it's a little bit more flexible than using the normal parent thing, right? So let me think. So we also want to add static var publish date. So we're also going to learn later how we can create like automated jobs that check for the publish date, and if a publish date is hit, it's going to publish the tweet automatically. So we have to make sure of that, right? Okay. So let me see really quick. So we have the field keys. Then we have, let me think. So we have content, we have created that, we have user ID, we have publish date. And I think this is the, yeah, I think this is it. I think this is okay. So now, so now we can do add field. And for field, we're gonna need key, and the key is gonna be the content. So field keys dot content. For content, it's gonna be a string, add field. So for created that, we can use the timestamp again. We can just do key. It's gonna be field keys dot created at on dot create. Oh, for the people who missed this, the reason why we use an extension of struct field keys, this is so that we can like reuse them for our migrations. And after, when we finish everything for the tweet model, we're going to write our first migrations as well. So I'm going to show you guys how that works. So we have created at, and created at is going to be a date. Then we have the user ID. So we can do two different things. So we can say parent, or instead of parent, we're just going to use field. And we're going to say field keys dot, this is going to be user ID, var user ID. And this is going to be of user model dot ID value. And we're also going to add a publish date. And instead of a timestamp, we're going to add an optional field. So the optional field, because it's optional, right? Because if a user wants to publish it now, they can. But if they want to publish it later, we're going to say, okay, later. So we don't need to add like the, we don't need to add a timestamp. So we can say var publish date is going to be of date, just like this. So we can call the initializer, and we can also call the required init, just like this. So if any of you guys have questions or anything, let me know. Yeah, if you want to ask something, now's the chance, or later in the comments below. And let me see really quick. Okay, so that is finished, right? So we don't need to worry about this. We don't need to change anything. Okay, so now inside protocols, we can create a new folder, and we can call this the tweet tweet protocol. So with the tweet protocol, we can create them, we can get them. So the same thing that we did before with the user protocol, right? So we can say new empty file, tweet protocol, import Vapor, import Fluent, protocol of tweet protocol. This is going to be of got protocols, just like this. And okay, So now we need to create two new DTOs. So we can, in here, we can do new empty file inside DTO. We're going to call this tweet DTO. Inside the tweet DTO, we can do import Vapor. And we're going to do struct create tweet DTO of content, just like this. Let me see really quick. So we can say let content is going to be string. Let publish date is going to be a date value. And yes, this is it. So we only need the content and the publish date, because the user ID, right? So of the parent, so the user who places the tweet, we can take that from the request. So we go to our tweet protocol. And let me see really quick. Let's go to user protocol really quick. So we did, we're gonna copy, oh no, we're gonna see where create DTO. Okay, so we can say where create DTO is equal to create tweet DTO, because that's the only one we really need. We also need the model is equal to tweet model, and we can also call, instead of tweet model, and next to tweet model, we can also call ID is equal to tweet model.id value. Perfect. So in here, extension of tweet protocol. Wait till the error is gone. Okay, so the first one, again, is going to be the create object. So we're going to take this one just like this. Very nice. So now I was thinking about it. Maybe we also want to add like the update, the stuff that we want to update, right? Because we also want to update the publish date if something goes wrong. So we can also say update tweet DTO. This is going to be of content. And we can select publish date is going to be of date. This is going to be an optional. Then we're going to say boom. Okay. So and let's also add this to here, right? So after this DTO, after the create DTO, we can say update DTO is equal to update tweet DTO. Perfect. Let me think. So for the create object, we can say let. Wait, let me think really quick. So the thing is, we have to make sure that the content is only like 200 characters, right? Because we want to make sure that it has a maximum of 200 characters. Let me see. Yeah, okay. So what we can do, we can say if DTO dot content dot I think contains, right? No, not contains. Let me wait, dot count. I think we can do dot count is equal to is 200. Let me think really quick. We have to do dot is equal to, just like this. Then we can say throw abort dot internal server error, and we can call reason, and we can say the tweet is too long. Perfect. And after that, else. And after the else, we can say new. Let new tweet is equal to tweet model. Content is going to be dto.content. And the user, for the user ID now, we can retrieve this in two separate ways. So we can put this inside the user ID model by doing, I think it was try rec.auth.request require, and we can say user model, if I'm not mistaken. Cannot convert value of type. Oh, not dot require dot get, I think. Oh, wait a second. This has to be user model dot self. Self, just like this. The problem is because, let me think, cannot convert for user model. Oh, wait a second, dot ID. You know what? I have a bad idea. Let's get rid of this. I'm not going to do this. So above here, we can say let user is equal to try rec.auth.require user model.self. Then we can say guard let user ID is equal to user.id user.id this. Oh yes, we have to, let's go to the user model really quick because we have to conform it to authenticatable. So we can say extension of user model of authenticatable. So this allows us to use the authentication methods as well. And theoretically, this should fix this. So then we have guard let user ID is equal to user.id, else. I'm going to do throw abort. And we can say dot. Let's say do dot forbidden, comma reason. You are not allowed to proceed, just like this. Perfect. And for user ID, we can just call user ID, just like this. That should fix it. And then after that, we can say await new tweet dot create. Oh, create on rec.db. And we're going to do return dot okay. Perfect. So this looks really clean. This also looks really nice. So we could also start to work with tasks, right? So like the new concurrency model of Swift 6. So we can use like tasks and partial tasks and everything. But at the moment we don't need that. So my plan is to create everything that we need to do. And after that we're going to update the code at the end of the series to Swift 6, to stuff that we can update or to stuff that we can like improve. Okay. So now we're going to need another extension. And wait a second. Now I'm thinking about something. Let's go to tweet model really quick because we forgot the publish date. Instead of publish date is nil, we're going to add publish date. So this is going to be dto.publish date, just like this. And if publish date is empty, it will not add anything and it's just going to be empty. But if the DTO contains a publish date, then the tweet will be stored. The thing is, we forgot something. Let's go back to tweet model. There's one more thing we need. And we can say self dot status. Oh, no, wait. Let's first go to the field keys. Static var of status is going to be field key. And we can say status just like this. So under here, add let's say optional field. No. You know what? We're not going to make this an optional field. We're going to make this a field because we have to make sure that the status is set. So var status, and the status is going to be of status enum. And the status enum doesn't exist yet, so we have to create it ourselves. So after this, let's go to enums, and we're going to create a new empty file of status enum, import foundation, and we can say enum of status enum, and this is going to return string. We can say case published, case draft, case planned, case flagged. Okay, so when we want to flag something, so that means if somebody flags it, it can be like a tweet that we don't allow. It can be a tweet that is racist or anything, and for that we need to use that. So now, last but not least, in here we have to add comma status. And this is going to be of status enum dot raw value. In here, self dot status is equal to status. Now we can go back to the tweet protocol, and this is going to complain. So we can say status. Okay, so to set the status, we have to check if there is a date inside the DTO. So let me see really quick. So what we can do, let me think really quick. So maybe we could put this inside the else statement. Yeah, you know what? Let's put this in the else. So in the else, we can say if DTO dot publish date is not equal to nil. You know what? Above here, let's set status. So let status of status enum dot raw value. In here we can say, so if the DTO of the publish date is not equal to nil, status is equal to status enum dot planned dot raw value. Else we can say status is equal to status enum dot publish dot raw value. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna put status here. So now I'm thinking about something, right? There's this issue, because if a user wants to create a draft instead of published, let's go back here. Oh no, wrong one. Let's go to the tweet DTO, and in here, let's add also a status of status enum dot raw value. Let's make this an optional. And instead of else, we can say else if. Else status is equal to DTO dot status. Let me see really quick. No, wait a second. This is not gonna. Oh, wait a second. This has to be if else, not else if. I was in my if else. And else, it's gonna be status enum dot published dot raw value. Let me see really quick if this is the right way to do this. I think I'm really effing up this Swift today. Something really goes wrong. Let me see. Else if. Wait, how did this work again? It was else if, right? Else if. Oh, wait a second. I already see what the problem is. I forgot to let me see really quick. So else if DTO dot, wait. Okay, so wait a second. So if DTO is not equal to nil, we're gonna do status is equal to status.plan.raw value. Else if DTO dot status is not equal to nil, then we're gonna say status is equal to DTO dot status equal to nil. DTO dot status must be unwrapped, huh? Okay, so you know what? I have a better idea. Let me see really quick. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of the else if. We're just gonna do, we're gonna call status. We're going back to the tweet and we're gonna get rid of this one for now, and we're gonna check that later to see what is happening with that, okay? So for now, this is the right way to do this. 1 second, I have to check Instagram really quick. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so for now the create object is okay. So we check if the DTO the publish date is not equal to nil. So if it's not equal to nil, it's going to be status.plan.raw value, and otherwise it's going to be status.publish.raw value. And then we're going to take the status here and we're going to add it to the new tweet. And the new tweet.create is going to be fine. Okay. Let me see. So we're going to do tweet, extension of tweet protocol. And now we're going to do the get object. So with the get object, we have to check really quick. Maybe we have to add an extra function for this. So the thing is, we have to check if the tweet is already published, yes or no. So if the tweet is not published, we can't return it, right? So yeah, so that's something we need to do. So how this works, we can say let tweet is equal to try await tweet model dot query on the rec.db. Then we're going to call something new that's dot filter /dot $, and we can say status. Oh, you know what? Instead of status, let's first do ID is equal to ID. We add a second filter, and this is going to be dot status is equal to. Let me think really quick. So let me think. So let's call status enum dot publish dot raw value. So this means I'm going to call dot first, and then we can do return tweet. So there is one thing here, like, oh yeah, of course, we need to make this a guard let, otherwise this is not going to work. So guard let, else, we're going to do throw abort dot not found, comma reason, and the reason is going to be tweet with d of \ID does not exist. Perfect. And then we have return tweet, and that is finished. So now we filter on the ID, so we check if the ID exists. And after that we filter on the status. So we do status in of the published. So this only makes sure that the object that we want to return is published, right? So when somebody has an unpublished tweet and we try to call the ID of the tweet using this function, and the status is not published, we will get a 404. So the API will say, sorry, this tweet does not exist, or is not published yet. Does not exist, or is not published yet. Pretty cool. So let's do this. The third one is going to be all objects. we're going to copy that one as well. Under here, we can do extension of tweet protocol. And let me see, we can open, let's open this one up. We're going to paste. And now we have to do a little bit the same. So we have to check the published of each one. So we can say let tweets is equal to try await tweet model dot query on rec.db dot filter backslash dot let me see really quick. And now I'm thinking about it. This is an issue, because do we want to retrieve all the objects that are existing, or do we only want to retrieve all the do we want to retrieve all the objects, so all the tweets? For admins that should be okay, but the problem is when somebody who's not an admin calls it, we have to protect the route for this, okay? So don't worry about this. We're gonna work this out somehow. And we're gonna say status enum dot published dot raw value dot all. Okay, so this is gonna return all the tweets that are existing with the published. But this also means that we need to create an extra protocol for the tweet protocol that allows us to only return values that are mine, right? So return by parent ID. You know what? Let's do that right away. So inside, let me see really quick. Inside helper protocols. No, you know what? Inside tweet protocols, let's create something new. Let's see. Let's say new empty file, and for this, tweet protocol, and let's just say my tweet protocol. Okay, so now we can say import with Vapor, import Fluent, and we can say protocol of my tweet protocol. And we're going to say, let's first create an associated type of model, associated type of ID. Yeah, okay, so then we can say static func get my tweets by ID. So we can say rec of request underscore ID of ID, async throws, and we're going to return an array, and we're going to return our array of model. And now we can call, let me see really quick. Yes, that is okay. So we can call an extension. Let me think. So the thing is, my tweet protocol, that is okay. Yeah, no, this is okay. So we can go to tweet protocol. Above here, we can call my tweet protocol, comma. So the model and the ID is already set, so we don't need to worry about it. So we can say extension of tweet protocol, and we can go to my tweet protocol. We can get this one. Oh, we can get this function of tweet protocol, and we can say let tweets is equal to try await tweet model dot query on rec.db. Then we can say dot filter. So we're going to filter them on the on our ID. ID is equal to ID dot filter backslash dot $, and this is going to be status is equal to status enum dot raw dot published dot raw value dot all, and we're going to do return tweets. Let me see really quick. Oh, this is tweet. Oh, wait a second. We made a mistake here. So this one has to be user ID. Let's put that one in this one as well. Let's go back to this one. We're going to change ID to user ID. And then after this one, we have to do comment v is equal to user model dot ID value, just like this. And this should fix it. And this should fix it as well. What's wrong? Cannot find type model in scope, cannot find the user ID. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, but model is already set. The model. So why is it complaining? Let me see. Cannot assign. Wait, are we importing Fluent? Yes, we are. Cannot assign value of mutable key path. Yes, we can. Oh, this has to be equal to. That should fix it. Okay. So now the last one. So cannot find type of model in scope. Cannot find type of model. Yeah, but the type is already here. Type is already set. So why cannot find type? Oh, this is tweet model. This has to be tweet protocol. I'm really sorry. So tweet protocol. They should fix it. Okay, so now we are also able to retrieve tweets only with our ID. Okay. So now I'm going to do extension of tweet protocol. And we're going to do the update function. So we go to CRUD protocols. We're going to get the update object. Let's open this one up. Okay. So now we have to do like the guard let thing again. Let me see really quick. So that is this one. Guard let tweet. So we can say guard let tweet is equal to try await tweet model dot find. And we're going to find the ID on rec.db. Else throw abort dot not found, comma reason tweet with ID of ID does not exist. Okay, now we can say tweet dot, I think it was just publish date, is equal to DTO dot publish date. Else it's going to be tweet dot publish date Then we can say try await tweet dot save on rec.db, and we're going to do return dot okay. So last but not least, it's going to be the delete object, tweet protocol extension, and there's going to be tweet protocol. Okay, so we can also copy and paste this one. And after that, we can say try await tweet.delete on rec.db. And then we're going to do return.okay. So I can imagine this is a little bit boring because we have to write all the functionality. But this is really important, so we have to make sure that this works. Okay, so now, as you can see, we are reusing this one 2 times as well, right? So for this, we could also write the helper function. So we can go to helper function, and we can say static func tweet does exist underscore rec of request underscore underscore oh my god underscore ID is gonna be tweet model dot ID value. Then we can say async throws, and it's gonna throw tweet model. Then we can copy and paste this one. We can say extension of helper protocols like this, tweet model, and then we can go back to tweet protocol. We can copy and paste this one, return, and then we can say return tweet. Okay, so now we can say, instead of guard, we only have to do let tweet is try await, and we can say tweet does exist on rec, and there's going to be ID. And that is true, the tweet does exist doesn't work yet because we have to call helper function. So for this, we're going to call helper protocols, comma, and this should then work. So this is pretty cool. So we already finished the tweet protocol, and we also finished the user model protocols. So now I want to show you something really cool. And after that, I'm going to end the stream because I have to go to bed. What we can do now, under here, we can say extension of user model. And this is going to take of users protocols. So, and why this is cool, now we can call user model dot create object. We can also call user model dot get object. So now all the functionality is stored under the user model, and we don't need to write the functionality inside the user model anymore, because we extended the user protocols using the extensions, and we added the functionality to it. And with tweet model, we can do the same. So on the tweet model, we can say extension tweet model, and this is going to be tweet protocol. And now we also can call all the functionality that we used in the, how do you call it, in the protocol, right, that we extended using the extensions. All the functionality is now written, and we only have to conform the tweet model to tweet protocol, and all the functionality is usable. So this was a long stream. It's almost 10 o'clock here, so I have to stop. This is almost 2 hours. So as you can see, working with Vapor is really easy. It's also really cool. And in this video, in this stream, we learned how we can create a user model and a tweet model. We learned how to work with protocols and how we can extend on them so that we can add custom functionality per model. I think that was pretty cool. We learned how we can create a helper function or a helper protocol for different functionality. We learned also the MyTweet protocol so that we only retrieve my tweets. And yeah, so I can imagine this is a lot of information to absorb. But believe me, it's going to be worth it. I mean, if you are a iOS developer and you also always wanted to know how something like Twitter works, how a REST API works, I think this is the perfect series for you. So in the next stream, I don't know yet when it is. I think maybe on Monday, I think. We're gonna, let me go to the database enum really quick. So we're going to create the retweets model, the blacklist model, and also the blocked model. So this means that when we tweet something or we want to retweet something, we're gonna create a separate model for that. Also a blacklist. So that means that when a tweet is blacklisted, we add it to the blacklist. And then later we're gonna check if a tweet is on the blacklist, and if it is, we are not going to display it, for example. And with blocked is for the users. So I also want to add functionality how we can get rid of that, right? Sorry, Ben, will you include relationship between models? So I'm not going to include the parent relationship or the children relationship. I just don't find it very useful. But we are going to in this series, we are now using like the we're going to query it itself. So when we go to the user, let me see really quick. Let's go to the tweet model. Here is the field of user ID. So instead of using the parent, we're just going to use a field, and we're going to query it separately. It's easier to work like that. I think it's easier, so that's why. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to do this. This is going to be a really long series. I expect around 10, maybe 15 streams before we have something functional. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I have to go to bed now. I will make sure that the stream will be available on my channel as well, so you guys can rewatch it. I want to thank you all for watching my first stream. If you have any things that I have to make better or something, or if you guys say like, listen, maybe you can improve on this, please let me know. I'm always ready to improve my streams or anything. I expect next week also to stream with the camera so you guys can see me. And yeah, and if you have any questions for next time, write them down, let me know, and I will cover them in the next stream. Okay? So, thank you again for watching my stream. I hope you enjoyed it and that you learned something. And I see you next time in my next stream.